Senator Hunt, you're recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, listen to me. I'm going to talk about real math. This is what's so annoying about this conversation and what is so literally annoying about the opposition. People coming up here and saying, I've been a business owner for 30 years, I've been a business owner for 20 years. If this goes into effect, we're going to have to forego pay raises for our workers to pay for this paid leave. No, I've seen how some of you live. I see the watch you have. I see the belt you wear. I've worked in fashion for 20 years. I know what I'm looking at. I've seen the car you drive. I've seen the lake houses you have. I've seen, the 4-car garage you have. So let's talk about what you're really saying here. Am I asking you to forego your lifestyle that, yes, you have earned? No. I also like nice things. I would love to someday have a lake house. I also want an Hermes belt. I also want an IWC watch, this and that. I'm an entrepreneur too because I like nice things and I want to be in control of my earning and my money just like you. But let's talk about the actual math that we're talking about. Under this law that the people passed, workers earn 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. So if we're talking about a grocery store, a liquor store, a instrument store in Columbus, what are your workers earning? Are they earning $15 an hour? Are they earning $18, $20? Are they earning $30 an hour? Let's be generous to you, Rolex wearing man, and say your workers are earning $30 an hour, which we know they're not. And those workers would have to work 30 hours to earn 1 hour of paid sick leave. So let's say they earn $30 an hour, work 30 hours to earn $30 off. And you're walking around with your Rolex watch and your expensive Porsche with your lake house, saying that if you have a worker who works 30 hours, you can't give them $30? I'll walk up to you right now and you'll give me $30 if I ask for it. I know that's right. If I said, will you take me to lunch? Will you get me some drinks? Man, I drink 2 drinks, that's $30. If you go to the wrong cocktail bar. So the boo-boo, boo-hoo-hoo, I'm so sad, I'm gonna go out of business. Be serious. There are real small businesses like mine, like many of yours as well, that are competing with large corporations that get massive tax breaks, that get massive discounts on benefits. The current system is already favoring big business, and this amendment just does more of that. So all of you small business owners, grocery store, liquor store, instrument store, whatever else you do, why do you have more solidarity with businesses like, Google, Union Pacific, Mutual of Omaha, First National Bank, whatever big business we can talk about? I'm mentioning some local businesses, but of course there's way more. Why do you have more solidarity with them than the people who are working at your shop so that you can have a Rolex and a Porsche and a lake house? And then you come in here into our legislature, the people's legislature who sent you here, and you say, if you work 30 hours, I can't afford to give you 1 hour of pay so you can take sick leave. What is that to you, $15, $20? You don't use payroll software? I was joking last night with Senator Conrad. What this bill really is a giveaway to payroll software companies. I use payroll software that tracks my employees' hours, it pays out their benefits, it keeps track of how many hours they've earned. It's going to keep software companies like that in business, I'll tell you that. And if any of you need help with your payroll, if you need to borrow $30 from me so that your employee can have an hour off of work, if that's the issue, come and talk to me. But your opposition and your arguments fall flat, because what we're really talking about is something so modest, so basic, not excessive, 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. What's that to you, $15? Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Spivey, you're recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield my time to Senator Hunt.
Senator Hunt, you're You're recognized, 4 minutes 50.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Spivey. It was probably a mistake for people to stand up and talk so much about the virtues of paid leave as a concept. And I think that there's an easy tendency, or there's an obvious inclination to do that because so many of us ran on more benefits for Nebraska workers, higher quality of life, live the good life, blah, blah, blah. So it's easier to stand up because it's sort of a natural mode that some of us go into when we just talk about the humanity and the value of the policy that helps workers, period, whatever it is. But I think it was probably a mistake to spend so much time in this debate talking about the virtues of the policy and the righteous indignation and all of that, because it's not necessarily that deep. What we're literally doing with this policy is not that deep. And I think folks really don't understand the math to it. And that's probably what we need to drill deeper into rather than just the, kind of the big picture virtues of the policy, which we can have, principled disagreements about. But look at the math, colleagues. Actually, before I get back into that, I've got other math to talk about. Here I've got a list, and it's not finished because I've been sitting here working on it myself, but we can see on this list, and I should distribute this, all of the senators by district and what your district voted for paid leave, how much it won by, which, reminder, as has been said ad nauseum, every single one of our districts passed paid leave. Compared to how many votes you got. I'll tell you, I won by an actual landslide in my district, probably the bluest district in Nebraska, and I'm a registered independent, of course, I'm a nonpartisan, but I won by an actual landslide against a serious opponent who took the race very seriously. And I didn't get as many votes as paid sick leave did in my district. I think I got 70% of the vote, and paid sick leave passed in my district by 85%. I'm going to mention some other people. Hallstrom passed by 71%. You got elected with 51%. Our Brad Von Gillern passed with 73%. You got elected by 52%. Speaker Arch passed by nearly 80%. You won with 62%. Glenn Meyer, 75%. You won by 52%. 52 to 75. So let's put it in that ratio form. First, I'm going to say the number that the paid leave ballot initiative won by, and then I'll say what you won by. Christy Armendariz, a little over 79% versus 56%. Bo Ballard, over 76% versus 55%. Mind you, many of these people are incumbents. We should be talking about huge advantages here. And many of these are red districts. These are like very reliably conservative districts. And look at what paid leave is passing by. Jared Storm, 69.54. Jana Hughes, 63.55. Bozen, 72.53. Raybold, 83.66. Kauth, 75.54. Holdcroft, 75.56. Sorrentino, 71.52. McKeon, 63.52. Sanders, 82 to 52. Hardin, 75 in that red district to 52. Anderson, nearly 79-52. Also, I didn't realize how close some of y'all's races were. Like, it's by the grace of God we got 17 on anything in the first place, but gosh, some of these races were really close. The point is, more people wanted paid leave than wanted us here, me included, and I'm like the most popular person in Nebraska, everybody knows that. But it was a mistake for us to just talk about the value of the policy because the math isn't there. We're talking about 1 hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. That's it. That's not radical. That's not excessive. If something like that is going to put your business out of business, maybe look at how you're living. It would take a worker nearly an entire month of full-time work just to earn a single paid day off. So let's stop pretending that this is a sweeping entitlement. It's not. It's the bare minimum. And the idea that we can't even offer that.
Time, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator McKinney, you're recognized to speak.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Hunt, you want my time? All right. I yield my time to Senator Hunt.
Senator Hunt, 4 minutes 50.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The idea that we can't even offer 1 day off per month paid, and once again, what kind of pay are we talking here? Is it 15? Is it 30? Is it $20 an hour? It's out of touch with what workers are living through. We always say that we want to attract workers to Nebraska. We want to retain talent. We want people to stay. Well, guess what? People don't stay in places that treat them like they're disposable. People stay in communities that care about them. And folks have made the point, well, workers or businesses can already do this. Businesses can already do this. Well, what we've seen is that businesses don't do this. I've heard business owners in this body stand up and talk with offensive disdain about their own workers, talking about the government tells me how much I have to pay my workers, and now the government wants to tell me that I have to give them a day off unearned. I would like to send your employees a transcript of that speech that you gave. Because when we talk about attracting and retaining workers, I don't know how you're attracting workers with that kind of attitude. We take people for granted in this state. And if you want to talk about what's really unfair, let's talk about how small businesses are competing with large corporations for discounts on benefits, for tax breaks, for politicians that have a whole lobby out there employed, businesses that have a whole lobby employed to talk to politicians like us, grease us up with checks, grease us up with free drinks, free lunch, so that we come up here and say on the mic that we're not going to be able to give employees raises anymore if we have to give them 1 hour off for every 30 hours worked. Someone working full-time, 40 hours a week, taking almost a month to earn a single day off. This is not radical. It's a minimal safeguard. And it's not even front-loaded. It's not even retroactive. It would be earned over time, and it asks the bare minimum of employers, and it provides the bare minimum to workers. It's the definition of reasonable. And another thing is, a lot of workers already assume this is the standard. They assume that if someone gets the flu or if their kid has a fever, that they are working for somebody who would want them to stay home without losing pay. But for hundreds of thousands of workers in Nebraska, for most workers in Nebraska, that's not the case. They've had to show up sick. They've had to send their sick kids to school. They've had to choose between their health and their rent check. While my colleagues have the Rolex on, have the lake house, have the Porsche, have the wife with the $2,000 bag that I saw at the fundraiser. Once again, colleagues, I've been in fashion for 20 years and I know what I'm looking at. Maybe it was secondhand. I've got nice stuff too. I've been roasted for that. But I'm not the one standing up here saying, I'm not going to give my hourly employees a raise if I have to give them an hour off for every 30 hours worked. I have nice things because I can afford it, and pay my workers well, and treat my workers well. If that's a problem for you, why don't you think about your own conservative principles and put those in practice and stop living outside your means? This amendment waters down a policy that is already incredibly modest, and I want to be crystal clear. If you're arguing that even this 1 hour for every 30 hours is too generous, then you are not standing up for workers, you're not standing with families, you're not working to build the Nebraska you claim to care about to attract and retain talent, and you're not honoring the will of your own voters who wanted this policy more than they wanted you here. Thank you, Mr. President.